Hey, what's up, guys? Nate here doing another PokeTalk episode. We have PBJ Collectibles, aka Philip, back again. Just going to kind of continue our conversation on the last video. We're kind of brainstorming some ideas for another project, so we just figured we'd hop on here and kind of continue our discussion a little bit and have some questions from my Instagram followers that we'll touch on a little bit later. But yeah, we're just gonna jump into it. So, Philip, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, doing all right. Just
Yeah.
been playing Pokemon X and Y, catching some Pokemon, and I know that's kind of where we cut off on our last video. You talking about
Yeah,
playing the games, and
yeah. Uh, I'm still all about Pokemon Arceus. I haven't been able to play as much the last couple days, which, have been unfortunate, but I've been busy with other things. But it's still, yeah, it's just like falling in love with Pokemon all over again, it feels like.
yeah, have you beat the game yet, or are you just kind of taking it slow, or
I have not. I really rushed into it within the first couple days. Like, I got very, very far. um, and I dedicated probably a little more time than I should have playing.
yeah,
I don't usually play games like for 6 or 8 hours in a day, but I was doing that with Arceus, so it was consuming quite a bit of my time, and I was ignoring many responsibilities. But hey, sometimes you just have to do that.
yeah? I was uh I was watching a lot of people stream it here this last week, and a lot of people kind of gave it hate at first, saying it was kind of boring and whatnot. But I mean, I've been really like enjoying just watching the game, especially the end game. I've been watching Reversal
Hmm.
on Twitch, and yeah, I mean, he's going for 100% decks and shiny hunting and all this other stuff. And the end game is really fun to watch. And like, I got to thinking, and that's kind of how every Pokemon game is for me anyway. Like every Pokemon game is kind of boring. Like you just kind of play them to get to the end game stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited to play it. And like I said in the
Have you
last
gotten the Switch
video,
yet?
no, not yet. I've been keeping my eye out. Like if one pops up in person to buy like a OLED, I'm gonna buy it like immediately. But yeah, I'm kind of working on my living Pokédex because that's always been
Hmm.
a goal of mine on Pokebank, and slowly plucking it off. I
How
actually
close are you?
uh I'm kind of moving some stuff around because I'm gonna show my list here, but I don't know if you can tell. I'm kind of showing the screen because I got my webcam on,
Okay.
but I got one page, two page, and then 3 pages of stuff. But as far as Pokemon left, I mean, let me see here. And about
And
each
does that include?
column, what's that?
I was to say, and is that how many forms does that include? Are you counting that?
So right now I'm just going for one of every species, like having the physical form in my bank. So I'll
Okay.
have a Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and Venusaur. And then for the forms, like I have a couple boxes of like Alolan forms, and I'm sure I'll make the other forms as well. But and then maybe male and female differences. But right now, just getting one of each because it's quite the task.
Yeah, and for me, I was never really huge about getting the decks completely done. Um, Obviously, like I did it with the very first game I played, and I think I mentioned in the last talk, I only ever did that once. Um, my issue as always is I would get near the end, and the process would either be like I didn't know what to do. I mean, this was before really could use the internet to look stuff up, but
Yeah.
usually I'll lose my focus when I get so close to being done, and the last few things take a lot of time, and I usually just go on to the next game. But uh, I do have near complete decks on my Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so basically
yeah.
what I did, I like went through the Pokebank slow and methodically, wrote down like every number, and then I pulled up a Pokédex, wrote down the names of the Pokemon, and then, I X and Y was my favorite, and I know I like pretty much fought every trainer on there. And I think between X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, between those 4 games, you can catch like every Pokemon up to that point. And then Sun and Moon, when I played Sun and Moon, I really took my time. So I don't have many left on that. But um, yeah, between those other 4 games, that's pretty much the bulk of what I needed. So I went down and wrote everything down. Um, I searched each Pokemon, so I'll kind of show it on screen here. But let's see. So like I'll write down the name and something, and then I'll do like Arbok Pokemon X. And Cerubi is like the best website for finding where the Pokemon are in the games, because you can like pull up the Pokemon, just scroll down, and it shows you X, Y, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. And I think it just shows those 4 games for most, because, you can get everything in there. But then, yeah, you can see like Route 19. It tells you all the move sets right there and everything. So it's like pretty tedious process, but pretty easy. It's just a lot of time and hunting.
Yeah.
What's really annoying is like you said, like once I basically go through this list and catch all the Pokemon that I just need to go catch. And then I catch the Pokemon that I need to level up to evolve, because you can't catch them in their evolved form. And then there's like a cafe you can keep fighting in Pokemon X that levels up Pokemon pretty quick. So I'll teach all those Pokemon that need to level up. I'll teach them Protect, and then I'll throw them in battle, like a triple battle, and Protect while I have one Pokemon killing everything. So it levels up pretty quick, but then you get down to the Pokemon that need to be like traded with a certain item to evolve, and that's where it gets annoying, especially if you don't have 2 DSs.
Yeah. I actually see. For a while, I got out of games completely. It was around like 2009 or so, and recently I have begun to regain interest in games. However, I'm going a little further back. But Black and White, especially, really piques my interest. It's kind of from the era you were discussing, and yeah, the 3DS just looks like a great platform in general
Yeah,
to begin playing Pokemon again.
it's really
Like it
good. I
has.
mean, if you have I have a Game Boy Advance SP for my old
Hmm.
school games, but I mean, pretty much a DS, like a 3DS or even a 2DS. I mean, that's where it's at. I mean, in your opinion, like I know you haven't played a lot of the middle ones, but what's your favorite Pokemon game?
Honestly, I know I haven't played, like you mentioned, a lot of the ones for about a decade there, but I mean, the Arceus game, I'm playing like I did Red and Blue, like the amount of time. Like, I remember a few times, even as an adult. This was when I was in college. I played um, Red and Blue, which I know they're not in comparison to a lot of the other generations that have came after. Red and Blue is kind of rough to play.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, for nostalgia purposes, but in terms of overall gameplay experience, it's missing a lot of the elements that have made some of the later games so enjoyable. But that being said, I Platinum Arceus, I think just from what I've played, is probably the best one.
Yeah, it's nice and
And
refreshing and like
hmm
just different. Plus, I heard shiny hunting is really easy in the game, and like that's where I'll have a lot of fun. Like I said, is the end game, and apparently you can just like run around and shiny hunt, and it'd be really fun to do that.
and you don't have to click on them. I was I actually was able to catch a shiny. I was like, what is this? It was a quillfish. It was the Hiswain quillfish, and the color was different. And I'm like, what's going on with this color? I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And then I got closer, and then the sparkles went off. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, and
I
you don't
finally,
really
I
hear
actually,
like random, like during a random playthrough of catching a shiny. Like I think the rates are better, and yeah, because you don't have to walk through the grass, you can like when you get to the end game, you can just fly around and like look
hmm
for the sparkle. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was. I know some of the rates. I don't know the exact rate for some of them, but I've seen some of the numbers. I think it was Larvitar actually. It was like 1 in 3,000,
mm-hmm.
maybe even worse. And I mean, just thinking about those numbers, I mean, you could put forth 1,000 hours and still not have it.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and that's kind of the tediousness that I was referring to, like go complete end game. That I just start to lose interest on, even with Pokemon Go. Like a lot of people play that game, but I played it on a whole other level. As you can remember, like we were both really hardcore players, and as you mentioned in the last talk, like you kind of stopped playing. Well, I just kept on playing,
Yeah.
and I actually did go for a complete living shiny dex that at the time, and uh, I it took a lot of time, a lot of stardust, a lot of haggling, and you're dealing with other people,
Just a lot of
and
effort in general. Like,
yeah, since I took my hiatus playing the game, I no longer have every single one. I think I got it down to where I was missing like 65 or something like that. That includes the forms too.
yeah.
Um, uh, but I actually didn't really know too much about shinies. I remember the Gyarados, right? But I didn't know the term was called shiny. That's how much of a noob I was uh, when I came back into Pokemon in 2016. But some of it's kind of gimmicky with the shinies, but there are some shinies that really, really do stand alone and might be better than the one they're based off of.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, going back to the original games, like yeah, they're not even that nostalgic for me anymore because I don't know, when I play the Pokemon games, like I absolutely hate playing the story on all the games
hmm
now. Like I wish I could just buy the game and be at like the end of the game with all the trainers defeated, all the gyms beat, all the and to where I could like just go find the items and train and breed Pokemon. But yeah, I'm excited to actually play this Arceus game, not just for the end game, but you know, I feel like this is the building block for how Pokemon games might be in the future.
Yeah, I don't know if they should abandon their old formula entirely. I believe there's elements that they could use. Uh, this blend of the old style that they had and the ones that what a lot of people have came to know, but also use elements, the free world gameplay, and the free range battling.
Yeah.
Those are elements that can be adopted and I think make the games even better because I think Sword and Shield. I saw um, a rating score. This was by fans of the games, and I think Sword Point Shield was like a 4.3 or a 4.5 review by the fans itself.
Mm-hmm.
Arceus, from what I saw, was an 8, just to give you an idea. And playing Sword and Shield, I got about halfway. It was so easy that I lost interest in it.
Yeah.
You don't even have to change out your Pokemon. Like your starter will just one shot everything. It becomes to the point where, like, especially if you use like type effectiveness. I mean, that already does a lot of damage as is. But even using types isn't as relevant. It seems like in Sword and Shield, and I think that's one way that it's gone stale. But this Arceus, that's the difficulty level. I think is perfect. It's not like
Yeah.
the old games where it was so difficult that it became a grind because you had to get your Pokemon all up a certain level, and you had to switch them out too. You didn't get the XP share,
Mm-hmm.
so you had to sacrifice your first one, hope they didn't get one shotted, change it out to your top Pokemon or whatever you're going to choose against it, and go from there. But um, I would love to see this style with the history aspect for the Kanto generation.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, I mean that'd be a great idea as like an off year game. Like still kind of keep the
Mm-hmm.
same formula, but I mean they just got to build on a little better experience with Sword and Shield,
Yeah.
but then if you have like an experimental year in between where you can do something like this and like touch on every region, because we could get like black and white remakes next year along with um a new Arceus type game. Like they could have
Mm-hmm.
3 games like kind of rotating right there with just those 3 ideas. All right, guys. Sorry, I had to check on the baby next door, but what I was saying is like, yeah, that'd be a good idea to kind of have, in the off years, kind of an experimental type game, and between those 3 ideas, having like an Arceus type game, a remake type game, and then like a mainline experience that you can build on. They're pretty solid. They just need to make it a more rich experience with a couple of those categories for sure.
And I'm actually looking at right now. I'm looking at the games. This is just the main series release timeline that I'm looking at, and it looks like about every 3 years or so they come out with a new generation. So with that timeline, you would think we would hear sometime later this year about the next generation of Pokemon. I know, but COVID could have caused all that to be delayed just a little bit. But
Yeah, we
uh,
should be hearing like Sword and Shield Special Edition or the
mm-hmm.
next gen or something like as our next game.
Sword and Shield, I think came out, was it like October or something like that? It was in the fall. I'm pretty sure it was in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So there's definitely the timeline would say that a new game is coming. Uh, Maybe not the second half, but sometime next year. I would think they would try to do it around Christmas, but I could be mistaken. They could also do it spring, just like they did with the Arceus game. They
Mm-hmm.
could do it because I know there's whispers of a Breath of a Wild 2, and Nintendo could be making that their fourth quarter game for the Christmas sales, and then they could make it the first quarter of 2023, the Gen 9 Pokemon, which I'd be really curious what area they would use with Gen 9. Um,
Yeah, it'd be
I know,
interesting.
I would love to see the out west of the United States, or like the Amazon or something like that. That'd
Yeah.
be really really fun, I think.
I'm
But
looking at someone's tier list of Pokemon games that
yeah.
it was done after X and Y came out, it looks like. But I was seeing, I just saw it looking at images, but I think my kind of lineup would be kind of similar. They got like the first gen games all the way down at the lowest tier, and then Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu at the D tier, and they have Ruby, Sapphire generation, and then the Fire Red, Leaf Green, and even Gold and Silver in the C tier.
I feel like Crystal would be above the gold and silver though.
Yep, Crystal's in B tier along with the Black and White
Yeah.
series, Black and White and Black and White 2, which I got something to say about that. But in the A tier, they got the Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, Sword Shield, and then X and Y.
Sword Shield in the A tier?
Yeah. So kind of curious. This is
Questionable list,
Sailor
questionable already.
Majora is the person here, so we might have to reach out to them. But but yeah, then they got Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon along with Sun and Moon, which I highly disagree. Those would probably be like the lowest tier for me. But they do have Platinum up here, and then Diamond and Pearl, and Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
Yeah, I see a lot of these games I would love to play. You know, I'm actually going back slowly. You know, as you're aware, I've began investing in retro games, game systems, mainly so far the NES and SNES. And I'm building my way up.
Yeah.
But the Game Boy Advance was probably that and PS2 and the N64 were probably like the three systems I played most as a kid. But I'm starting to look at more with the DS games and some of the titles that came out on there, and I'm just blown away by not just Pokemon related, but in general, some of the titles that were released. And I was gonna go back to forward, but like, you know, the more games I'm seeing on the DS and just kind of starting to play more video games again, especially centered around Pokemon, and it's becoming tempting.
Yeah. I think, right before we cut off, I was going to say, too, the XY and Ruby and Sapphire, those 4 games, I think, are the best games of all time for Pokemon as far as, like, the classic experience goes. Like, and, of course, you can catch all Pokemon between those 4 games, but I don't know, X and Y, it's a truly classic Pokemon experience with like updated graphics. Like they have some 3D graphics, but it's not Sun and Moon where like that's the whole style that they went for. And then also in Sun and Moon, they really held your hand a lot. Like, I don't know, there's a shift going into Sun and Moon and it continues through Arceus, it seems like, where there's a lot of hand holding, a lot of cutscenes in the beginning with like no voice acting, like kind of boring interaction with NPCs. But X and Y, it was still like classic enough where they didn't really have that. And I still think X and Y is like the best games as far as like in-game battles. You had the Mega Pokemon. That was the mechanic. And then Sun and Moon, you had like these weird Z moves, and now of course you have VMAX. But
yeah, I can't say I'm the biggest fan of the whole VMAX thing in general.
I really like the Mega evolutions. You could only have
absolutely.
one per game, and it was just an item they held, and that was it. But
see, my introduction to Megas has been Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
So they hated things a little bit differently. Like, you've played a lot more games than I have, but the substance of the games are very similar in terms of collecting and catching
yeah.
And I would love to experience some, because I feel like there's a lot of megas that aren't done justice within the Pokemon Go system. There's a lot of mons in general that just get really, really become into the B, C, and D tier because you can't use your special abilities or your special attacks, and I think I don't want to say some of the charm is lost, but I feel like you really lose out on being able to experience how that Pokemon functions, honestly, and just kind of bringing this point home. I would just love to experience that firsthand. Because I'm seeing XY, and like Kalos, that was the generation that got me back into Pokemon. That was the show that was on TV, and I would play Go until 2 or 3 a.m. I'd be out on foot walking until 2 3 a.m. and I'd be too tired or my batteries would be dead, and I would just have to consume more Pokemon. And I found, I streamed. I found a way to stream that generation, and I just binged it and caught up with the whole entire
Yeah.
series.
I was looking up Metacritic stuff, and like, yeah, Arceus is pretty much like a 80, and then like a 8.5 like user, and then I went back and looked at Sword and Shield, and it was like a 80 critic, but like I can't even remember, but it was like a 30 user.
It was low.
It
Yeah,
was
it
pretty
was really
low.
low.
But yeah, I'm looking
Um,
at the X and Y and Black and White, and they're all like upper 80s. And Black and White, to me, that was like the best story. Like, you could go back and play Ruby and Sapphire, but they're still kind of like the classic Pokemon. Like, I consider Gen 1, 2, and 3 like the classic experience, like bare bones, just beat the gym leaders and do whatever.
Lots of people, I don't think, lots of young kids, I don't think would like or even want to play the first generation of games.
Yeah.
There's a lot of word of mouth because not everybody had a guide or, wasn't, a lot of us as kids, we didn't know, oh, let's find that online. A lot of people didn't have online yet,
Mm-hmm.
even, or internet. And there's a lot of things that made it by word of mouth. Like I know for several parts, like for example, one that sticks out to me was trying to find Cut, the person who had the Keyam Tut or Cut in the woods.
Yeah.
I forget which woods that was, but you know what I'm talking about. And as a kid, as like an 8-year-old kid, I was completely lost. I had no idea where to go. And
Yeah.
then you would get through the cave, and like you couldn't run away from the Golbats or the Zubats. You had to fight them. You had to attack them. Um, you didn't have a choice, and then you'd get through that, and then you'd be wiped out, and then you'd have to face your rival, and then you'd get blacked out, and then you would go to
Go all the way back and have to do it
yeah,
again.
yep.
Yeah.
So
And then
that's
why is Brock the first gym leader? Like if you pick anyone but Squirtle, you're pretty much struggling. Like
yeah.
I remember playing those games like the second time through, like when I, probably 5+ years after their release, and if you don't pick Squirtle, it's hard to beat Brock. Like you pretty much have a Pidgey and a Rattata as your options to build your team. And yeah, the method to beat it was pretty much either get a Pidgey or Rattata, get a couple of them even, and make him learn Sand Attack to where you can lower his accuracy so much where they don't even hit you and you can like slowly pluck them away. Like it's just super annoying.
Yeah, I know. I think when I first began the game, because I had the blue version, my brother had the red version. I went with Blastoise the first time through, and there were other times where I chose Charizard. But
Yeah, if you chose
I,
Charmander, that was actually the hardest choice because then you
yeah,
got Misty in the second gym.
yep. And then even in the third gym with Surge, I mean, it's electric.
Yeah.
So it's you're not. It'd be neutral damage, but
Yeah, they
and
were
then like
tough.
well, usually what I end up doing, like this is kind of, I guess, I probably learned this habit from the Pokemon games is grinding out your level to where the gym bosses or the bosses aren't as difficult. So I would just be going through the forest and attacking every single unfortunate Pidgey, Weedle, Kakuna, uh, anything Zubat. Even I'd go through the cave just to increase my level. And usually by time the first boss came, if I with Brock, if I did choose Charizard, I was already like level 15 or something.
Yeah. I pulled
Or
up
if it
a
was
I pulled up a tier
15 or
list
20.
on here to rank all my games here. So I'm gonna go through and like see which games I put where. I'll see if you kind of agree with them.
Well, I'll try with a few of them. With a few of them, I feel like I don't have any right to critique them, but
Yeah. So I haven't played Let's Go Eevee or Pikachu, so I'll just kind of put those in with the classic games. But I'm gonna start the classic games at like C tier. Even Fire Red, Leaf
okay.
Green. So I feel like you could go up from there. Because I I don't know, Gold and Silver were just so good to me because, those are the only games that you can put or you can go to two regions in. So that's what really set them apart. So I would say almost Crystal and then Heart Gold and Soul Silver being A tier, and then Gold and Silver being B tier, and then all the classic games and the remakes being C tier.
Yeah, I was wanting a little bit something new. Like I never played Platinum and Pearl, but like it was basically the same exact game, and I think that's still great to introduce it to a new platform. I was just wanting a little bit more. It's not quite what it was. Yeah, this list has Heart Gold, Soul Silver as number one, and has Archie as number two.
Yeah,
And kind of makes you want to play Heart Gold, Soul Silver now.
they're good. I mean, it gives you, the classic Gold and Silver experience, but it's a little different. Like even going back and playing that game now, it kind of seems outdated because I'm playing X and Y and Ruby Sapphire, but I'm putting Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon all the way at the bottom because
They have this one. This is Nintendo Life that I'm looking at. Number three, they have the Pokemon Platinum.
yeah,
I don't know if you would agree with that or not.
I'd say yeah, I'm putting Platinum in S tier. Like that's peak classic Pokemon experience right there. I'm putting a couple games in my S tier, but it's not like the best games. Like these are the games that I just generally think are really good.
And, for me, I always love. For me, it's about also playing it on the platform in which they were released. Like I can't do emulators. I guess a part of for me has to be nostalgia or just the original experience that it was intended on. I feel is important for how I play games as well. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people say, why don't you just get an emulator or get the classic NES or classic SNES? Well, that kind of detracts from the point I'm trying to re-encapsulate, which is obviously nostalgia, but there's
Yeah,
also something special about the original platform and how it was intended to be played.
and it's cool and all, but yeah, you just got to have the classic ways. So in S tier, I actually put Platinum and then X and Y because like gameplay wise and like post game battling where like most of my time playing the games occurs, like those three games were by far the best. But as far as story though, the original Black and White, I mean they're S tier.
Interesting. This person's list disagrees with that aspect of you a little bit, but
Like if I did just
they're
based on
still over
story,
eight.
I would move X and Y down and replace that with Black and White, and then still have Platinum up there because that story was pretty good too. And then Black and White 2, they just kind of, continued. That was like the first time they didn't have a special edition. So, there was always like two games and then the special edition. There was Diamond and Pearl, then there was Platinum as the special edition. But like Black and White, you could really tell there was a shift from like the classic Pokemon experience to like storytelling.
Yeah.
and Black and White's story was like the best that there has ever been in a Pokemon game up till that point. So then I think they
I mean,
tried to run with that and they made just Black and
yeah,
White 2.
it was so good. It felt like it merited a sequel, which
Yeah.
hasn't been done. I don't think since. I mean, you have like certain. I think like they're gonna probably have another Let's Go one for
There's
or for Gold and Silver. I feel like that's probably gonna happen, but
yeah, I
like a
heard
direct
heard
sequel.
maybe this year like announce or something, like some leaks I think I saw.
I could see that being their Pokemon game for the fourth quarter,
Yeah. I
trying to
think it
compete with Sony and all that.
I think Black and White would have been better like if the sequel instead of having Black 2 and White 2, cuz like it didn't really merit having two games. You could have just done one where it was like I don't know, Pokemon Gray and like you dealt with like the post story of Black and White in one game. But I don't know, they had
I'm
this
sure.
this weird fusion thing with the legendaries, and that's when they really started experimenting.
Let's see.
And I think they
I feel
kind
like
of oh, go ahead.
honestly, I feel like there's a chance when they do make a remake. I'm trying to see when. Here, I have to go to the front page because Platinum was on one. I was saying when the year Platinum came out. I think that was that like 08, 09.
Yeah, somewhere right
So
there.
so it's been 12 years. It'd be kind of early. I mean, I feel like they might do. They might try to do the black and white remakes for the next. Well, that's too far away. Actually, I was gonna say for the next like 30th anniversary, they might try to do it for that, but that's still
Yeah,
a few years away.
I'm excited to play the Diamond and Pearl remakes. Like, I'll probably play Arceus first, and then I'm gonna play probably Brilliant Diamond before I play Sword and Shield. Because out of all the games, like those are the games I want to play again the most. Because that's right when I got back into it. I was really playing the games. Like after high school, we'd go play Ultimate Frisbee at the park, and then afterwards, like chill on the playground and battle Pokemon on Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah,
Like that's honestly more nostalgic for me now than the original games.
I mean, I know I need to give it like you see the ratings. I'll be giving Diamond and Pearl or yeah, Brilliant Diamond and Brilliant Pearl. I'll be giving them another shot. It wasn't like unfun. I definitely was enjoying it. It just at the time it wasn't what I was interested in. Uh,
Yeah, and I'm
but
I'm even gonna have to look at it because I mean, if they, I don't really care for the art style that much, so I might just go back and play, my handheld copies, but I don't
well, the
want to
Switch can
restart
be
the
handheld.
game. Do what?
I said the Switch can be handheld.
Well, yeah,
That's how I play it most of the time. Honestly, is handheld. It's just easier.
I think on my Diamond version I don't have a good save file. Like my Pearl save file is like hundreds of hours, as well as my Platinum. So like I don't want to reset those, but I think my Diamond I could do another playthrough of. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. The OG games are always there for nostalgia, but like I felt nostalgia for them like 10 years ago and I got my fix. So now, and like honestly, like you said, they're kind of boring once you go back and get used to these other new games.
Yeah, like I'm playing after playing Arceus. I know it's a lot different, but like I can deal with the old mechanic. But sometimes those retro games, although they're fun to play, there are some, not just with Pokemon, but in general, they were beginning from scratch
Yeah.
back in the day, and they were developing. They're still developing as they go, and changes that they can make to make the series and each game better. But at this point, I really don't know if I can go back anytime soon and playing that first gen,
Yeah.
especially knowing that there's like three other generations that are considered better, if not more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for you, like Diamond and Pearl or X and Y, probably X and Y if you're really into that region from the show.
Yeah,
Like it's
I actually
still a
the story
classic experience, but it's like modernized.
and the story I actually thought was interesting. That actually what kept me through. I know it's like a kids show, but like they actually tried to develop more of a linear story in XY,
Mm-hmm.
and like the first couple of generations of the show especially are like, so for nostalgia, the first whole season or whatever is season and a half, 2 seasons is fun to watch, but it is the same mechanic for like the first 5 seasons of every episode. Team Rocket's blasting off again.
Yeah.
Woo!
Oh no, it's
And
Team Rocket.
are they gonna steal my Pikachu? No, no, Ash, we're not after your Pikachu this time. It's
Yeah.
it's just
We
it's
like
hard to
watching
watch
them, but
those
it's
as an
hard
adult.
watching them. Yeah.
It's as an but actually that's kind of what makes the new series the best series I think in a long time. I haven't watched the newest part, but I've watched the first show on Netflix, and then I watched the first part of the second show with Pokemon, and I love that they're trying something different with the show too, because Team Rocket isn't like they're kind of a side thing. Like they'll be around, but like they're not interacting with
Yeah.
Action Company every single day, and which was very very necessary by the way with these shows, and it makes these shows more entertaining as an adult and as a fan of Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever go back and like watch the show again or play the OG games again unless it's like a long time from now. Like I played them back in the day. I played them like early high school years when my friends and I were bored. I downloaded Blue version on the DS on the virtual store. I 100%ed it, got like all the Pokemon. Like, I don't know. I'm still burnt out. And that was like 4 or 5 years ago. So,
The last time I played Red, this was probably 2011. Um, I it was one of those things where I got so caught up in it that I was playing till 4 or 5 a.m. Like I didn't even without realizing the sun. I played all night.
yeah.
Well, like the sun would come up. I'm like, oh, maybe I should go to sleep. But
Yeah.
yeah, I never even back then I never really ventured into new Pokemon, even with like the TCG. I didn't like go out and buy packs or anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
Straight
was
up
still
Pearl version, the OG Pearl version on the DS. That's what got me back into it. That's the game that was out at the time, or it had just came out right when me and my friends and I were getting back into it. So that's always gonna have a little special spot in my heart is the Pearl version era and going into X and Y or Black and White rather.
they have Diamond and Pearl as the third best games with the DS. I think they're using Nintendo Life is using scores from their site. I think is what's going on,
Yeah.
and that's how they're listing it. And but man, some of these kind of talking about games. some of these Pokemon games have gone up in price substantially.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
especially that like that stretch of games like Diamond and Pearl all the way up to X and Y. Like like I said, that gives you the straight up classic Pokemon experience, but it's not as grueling or mind numbing as the OG games. And a lot of people didn't experience those, so they're going back and playing them.
yeah, I mean that's something I plan on doing as well. And for me, it being it's I'm a collector not just for Pokemon TCG, but just a lot of different things, and games are a part of it as well. For me, if I was going to collect, I would have to fight myself um, not to collect CIBs or a complete inbox of these games.
Yeah.
Um, I just whenever I start collecting, that's just kind of the first thing I do. It's just like how can I get the whole entire piece of history that I own in my collection. Uh, and these DS games are actually for complete boxes probably aren't terribly priced, honestly. But I know everything with in the collectible industry has gone up.
Yeah, pretty bonkers.
Yeah, in games, I don't think we're going to see that the decrease in price for some of these more retro games anytime soon. In fact, I only see them going up in price,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to Pokemon. Um,
And
I
even
think I bought.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think I bought my red version for like $25, just like 8 years ago, and I'm pretty sure those are double that right now. Last I looked, but I could be mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Even playing X and Y here this week, I mean, it's aged really well because it stayed true to the classic style. Like, Mario games age well because there's nothing really to age on them. They're side scrollers. That's kind of how the Pokemon games were in a way. So, like playing X and Y, like it feels like X and Y could come out today if it was, geared for a remake version. Like if they took, Pokemon Red and Blue and made it look like X and Y, like that, I feel like that's a product they could sell tomorrow. Like
Yeah,
the art style holds up. They don't try to do too much. Whereas, like, yeah, they get into Sun and Moon, and that was the biggest thing. Like, they try to be kind of more open world or 3D, but in that way, they took out a lot of the depth of the game, a lot of the, they made the game kind of small. I feel like that's kind of why they made it Hawaii based because the map wasn't all that big. But yeah, they're experimenting now. They're kind of in between, and hopefully they get, they stick with something and then really flush out their games a lot more. But
well, I mean, do you think they would do that with every single generation? Go back to because like like they were doing with say DRCS. We kind of discussed how the old style of games or the style that we have come to know with Pokemon,
yeah,
and what like so they have several things they could do, like the whole Let's Go thing, the whole different style. I feel like it's not quite new, but if you redo it with the older history of each region and you get further into the lore of those legendaries, because from what I remember with the games, I almost feel like the story with like the first couple gens was almost like, so Gen 2 it was pretty good, but like the first story especially, it was kind of a side thing,
yeah,
and I would love to see it. I don't think a remake. I feel like because Kanto is just they beat that into the ground in general with everything they do with the TCG,
Yeah,
And I get, you know,
it's just gonna be interesting where they go. I mean, like they're just kind of in this middle ground where they're trying to figure it out. You know, they're experimenting with the Arceus game, and you know they seem to be on their set path for Sword and Shield and kind of go more that style. So yeah, we might not ever see a classic Pokemon game like we're used to again because they've kind of done it all. You know, they could remake Black and White like they did with a different art style, like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, but
yeah, but it's as we kind of look through, it's hasn't even been 10 years since that game release, right?
yeah.
You know, let's
And that's kind of to the point where, you know, the old games can kind of hold up because they were getting better at that point. There's like depth to them. I think that's kind of why Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl didn't do like super well, because it was just like a kind of the same experience and just kind of a tweaked art style. And then on top of that, the art style didn't really hit well with a lot of people.
people were wanting people were asking for it for such a long time, and they were wanting it to be updated a little bit more, and they just kind of gave like a cookie cutter
Yeah.
version of it. I feel like fans were really disappointed with that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're kind of getting up there on time. I guess we should probably cut her short there.
Okay.
Kind of a lot of video game talk that was kind of unexpected. I do want to hit those questions I asked real quick. I'll just do a couple of them that I pulled out.
We can always, yeah, we can always do more. You know, our this upcoming week especially. Like I'm pretty available, so we could
Yeah.
always respond to that on a more whole basis, like focusing on just those questions. But I'm
I'll,
definitely down to answer a few now.
I'll just do the polls that I put up. So I had a poll. Did you collect before 2016? And
Okay.
what percentage of people do you think collected before 2016?
Well, knowing your Instagram, you do have a little bit more people that have been collecting it a hobby for a while. But
Yep.
I would say about 40%.
40% before 2016.
Yeah, of the people that responded. That's what I'm going to go with.
It's actually 60% before 2016 and 40% post 2016.
Oh, so I was, hey, there
Got a
was
flip
that number
flop.
was in there. It was in there, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
this one's a little more of a gap, but
Okay.
I asked, are you more of a raw collector or a slab collector? So what do you think the percentages are on raw versus slabs?
I would say, I would say close to not quite 2/3. I would say about 60% on that one
60%
for
raw.
raw. Yeah.
So it's 71% raw and 29% graded. So,
So it was a little higher.
yeah.
And I'm actually starting to appreciate the raw cards a little bit more. I feel like grading is definitely necessary for more vintage aspects, but
I feel like a lot of people have some binder collection in a way or raw collection in a way. So like they wouldn't answer slab unless they were like
no,
100% slabs.
because you know, yeah, like
But
you and
everyone
I
has
have both.
binders.
Yeah, like I got a whole binder of like the first. Well, I don't have all of the first four systems, just a few hollows, uh, but then and I have like a master set of evolutions and
Yeah.
so those are, and then I have most of Hidden Fates in a set. But yeah, a lot of my cards are, any of my decent cards are tucked away in my case. So,
Yeah. So that one could be kind of skewed a little bit in statistics. Cause yeah, if I asked again, like who had a binder collection and a slab collection, the number would probably be much higher. But
Yeah.
well, anyway, I guess we should wrap it up there. Um, I guess maybe we'll hop on here, make an announcement video or something of our project we're thinking of, but maybe a lot more
Yeah, I mean,
talks in our future.
yeah, I think that would be great to have the viewing base to potentially bring up topics for us to chit chat about
Yeah,
going forward.
that's
Definitely
kind
needs
of
to.
yeah, that's kind of what I would want. Like, give people the opportunity because I get a lot of questions on Instagram here and there, and it'd be good to like have a format, a video or podcast or something to where we could answer things like, okay, here's all the questions. Starting out, we could answer like every single question.
Yeah,
So,
and if we cross the bridge where we have so many questions, we can't even address them all in one podcast or whatever, then I think that'll be a pretty good thing to have. Good problem to
yep.
have.
All right. Well, we'll leave it up there. I got a image of Pokemon Pinball pulled up for some reason, but I was looking at some article, the best Pokemon games of the 21st century.
Honestly, we only talked about the mainline games. We didn't even get into all the side games that they have.
Fun fact though, they had Heart Gold Soul Silver as number 2 and Pokemon X as number 1.
They did interesting. See, it was a little bit different for Nintendo Life. It's also anybody that played on that generation is probably also going to be biased towards whatever one that they respond with. Like a bunch of say like people that haven't played a lot of games since Red Blue, they're going to choose Red Blue probably as their favorite one.
Yep. All right. Well, we better leave it at that. So, yeah, go check out Philip's Instagram. I'll have it below for you, and we'll let you know what's happening in the future, guys. So, we'll see you later. Peace.